This meeting is being recorded.
Good evening and welcome back to Let's Talk Destiny with Jamie Green. As I explained to you a couple of weeks ago, I'm going to be speaking with my oldest son, and we're going to have a series of conversations about the impact on incarceration on families. Because some people think that once a person is locked away on these modern day plantations, that's the end of it. But each person that is connected to them is also doing time with them, and it impacts the incarcerated person and it impacts the people that love them. So we're going to be having some conversations about that. And today I want to first of all welcome my oldest son to my platform once again. He is my I'll have to say he is my greatest supporter, in that he's always encouraging me, always nudging me, and I'm so honored to be his mom. So welcome to the platform, number one.
Thank you for having me, Queen.
Yes, that's my number one prince. Everybody knows that. So today I want to talk to you about what I want us to talk about. I don't want to talk to you. I want us to talk to each other. Uh, we're going to slowly build into some heavier topics, but I want to begin with just making sure that everybody understands the impact of being away from people that you love, people that you care about. How would you explain the weight of being away from your family members? I remember when your grandparents died, and I had to call to the prison to inform you that they were gone. And one of the most painful things for me as a mom was knowing how you felt about them and how they felt about you, and knowing that you would not be able to come to say goodbye to them, or um, I couldn't even talk to you in person, throw my mother's arms around you, or any of that. What has been your experience with the weight of being away from your family, being gone when your grandparents died, when family members have major milestones in their life? How do you feel um, under that weight?
Well, quite honestly, is when this usually happens in somebody's, the beginning of somebody's bit, there's two ways you can go. One is you can continue to allow the weight of those um, emotions of loneliness, feeling alone, wishing you could be somewhere that realistically you can't physically be. All of those things become thoughts, they become energy. So you either can crumble under that, or you can use those things for motivation and strength to carry on.
Right,
So
right.
what I personally chose to do is use that as strength and fire to carry on. Um, a lot of my peers inside allowed it to crumble them, and you know, many of them threw the rope around their neck, took their own life, or slit their wrist. These are realities of that type of weight.
Yes.
Um, but of course, it's always best to use things as motivation, whatever the situation may be. And this is also what helped me with that. Also, though, is the knowledge of self. and the knowledge that whether I'm here or there physically, the energy and the strength of spirit and mind is stronger than all of those things. And so I try to focus on that until I can't be there physically.
Yes. Awesome. And I was thinking about as you were talking about the importance of, as you said, self-knowledge, knowing who you are, knowing knowing the strength that you possess, whether you're behind the wall or outside of the wall. It is extremely important to know who you are and know what you're capable of handling. I was just talking with someone earlier today, and she was talking about how sensitive she is to things, so forth and so on. And she said, Miss Green, I couldn't survive in prison because I just couldn't handle it. And I said the same thing. um, I said, but the reality is we don't know what we can do until we're forced to have to deal with it. And so I was talking to her about you and how you have gone through some things that the average person that I know could not go through and still have a strong mental state. As we get further into our conversations, I want us to discuss the medical care or lack of medical care in the prison system with regard to mental health issues. And you mentioned how some people end up committing suicide because it's just too much. It's like, how, just keep doing that same thing every day, locked in a cage like an animal, and treated like an animal by many people. And I remember uh, you saying to me that these conversations are going to help a lot of mothers that will hear these conversations, because there are so many of us that have children behind the wall, whether they're sons or daughters. But I also think every now and then about you telling me when you first were um, sent away, and because of the amount of time that you were given, you were put on suicide watch. Why do you think that was? I know why it was, but I want you to explain to our listeners why they would put someone on suicide watch that received the amount of time that you did.
Well, the reason, I mean, quite honestly, the reason they have that protocol in place is because, first of all, they know, and when I say they, I'm speaking of the U.S. of A. Corporation, these non-Article 3 courts that are inferior and unconstitutional, meaning all state courts, and these judges and state's attorneys, when they are sentencing you or your children or your loved ones to that type of time, they know, first of all, that it's no substantial reason to give a person that amount of time locked inside of a warehouse. So they know the effects that has on a human's psyche.
Right.
This is why they have psychologists in place, and it's a whole protocol already waiting for you to come back from the courthouse to go straight to the psychologist, straight to suicide watch, because they're already expecting you to be mentally broke as soon as you hear the time that they give you.
Right.
Because that's what it's all designed for. It's designed to break the mind, which will lead to a broken spirit.
Yes.
And then a broken body. And just one thing you said a while ago about, like, the sister told you she couldn't make it in prison. One thing we have to remember, for all people, but especially our people, you have to remember what these prisons are built for. One is to make Federal Reserve notes, of course. But the other reason is the moral of the story is, if you don't do what we say, meaning the elite or the politicians or the bankers who control them, then we will lock you behind away in prison.
Yes.
It's a scare tactic, and it's designed to keep people afraid and submissive. So that whole idea that is planted into the psyche to make people say, well, I can't do that, I won't, that will cause you to not respond to certain things that people should naturally fight for. So as you said, you don't know what you're able to do until you're put in that position. But one thing I would encourage everybody to understand is we carry the spirit of the Creator within. There's no stronger force than that.
All
Don't
right.
fall for the tricks of mind sorcerers trying to use fear, guilt, and superstition
Yes.
to keep you a slave to other men's ideas.
Very good. Very good response. I love that. All right. Now, let me ask you this question. When people first go away, everybody comes out the woodwork with all of this stuff that they're going to do, um, especially for the family members that are left. I remember when we walked out of the courtroom, um, and your two youngest sons and their mom and I were standing outside on the steps, and some guys walked up that was supposed to be your homeboys. Um, and they kept, anything you need, let us know. These boys ain't never gonna have to want for nothing. We got you. Trouble is our boy. We got, and mom, you don't have to never want for nothing. And I think I've maybe seen one of them since then. And you've been gone 15 years now. So,
17.
oh wow, 17. Wow, 17. Jeez. And my point is they have done absolutely nothing. But how do you, as the person who is incarcerated, feel about or respond to? And keep in mind, I understand that you have traveled a journey to a place right now that literally blows my mind. I'm absolutely like speechless and unable to verbalize how proud of you I am for the redemptive journey that you have taken to this place. But let's go back to the first few years that you were locked away. How did you feel about the lack of contact from family members and so-called friends? How does a person who is known, like well known all across this area, that's locked away, and now these people seem to have just written you off or whatever? How do you respond to that? How do you feel about that?
This is how that goes, right? Now, usually these kind of things mainly happen to people that are loyal almost to a fault. And when people gotta understand one thing, and this is something else that I've learned over the years. Many times we give people too much credit. And right now, some people that are listening to this and that are gonna listen, you have people around you that you can think are friends, that you consider to be family because of blood ties, that quite frankly, they do not really understand love, so there's no way they could possibly have love for you and be loyal to you. Mm-hmm. So what usually happens in these situations is you got a bunch of people hanging together. Again, there's really no bond of true love there because nobody really understands it. So most of the times they're around because they respect you and they realize you can do things they wish they could. So they need you around for your strength. So when you remove that strength, when I got sent away, quite frankly, a lot of them were glad that I was gone. Because Queen, when when you carry a certain light with you, then people like to be around it, but you got to realize it also exposes them.
Yes.
It causes them to have to step their game up.
Right.
So when you are not around them, they can then in turn be their self or act like there's something they're not. So, the first couple of years, the abandonment, especially knowing that I was loyal to certain people, done certain things for people that we won't even ever discuss again. And then for them to turn their back, quite honestly, you wish the worst things that could happen to a person on them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And, your heart is broken. You spending sleepless nights, plotting and planning this and that. And then as time goes on, you still carry these feelings, but they start to simmer down and cool a little bit as I started to focus on myself. And now I'm to this point here. And if you're listening and you know that you were once close with me, and again, this could be for blood ties, which would make us related. It doesn't necessarily carry the meaning as family, because family comes with loyalty.
Right.
Or whether you were just a friend out and about. I would never have those types of dealings with these type of people again. I would never let them into my bosom because they've already shown they're not worthy of being there. But I don't carry ill will towards them. If there's any advice I could give or anything like that, I would give it. But as far as those type of people that left my family out there after giving all these promises, when again, I've done the very same thing for them and their family.
Right.
When they went through it.
Right.
I have no respect for that. There's no honor in that. And again, you would never, ever be allowed in my circle again.
Very well said. Very well said. Because I was thinking about even with people in the family, like you said, bloodlines or whatever. Every now and then when I run into them, they'll say, "Oh, how's he doing? Tell him I said hi." I don't even tell you that they said hi, because I'm like, after 15, 16, 17 years, you haven't written one letter. You haven't put a dollar on the commissary. Like, really, tell them hi for what?
Right.
And so I had a thought came in my head. I wish I had written it down, because you know how my mind gets sometimes when I'm going to different places. But as you were talking about the loyalty, and how you have been there for other people, and then when the push comes to the shove, they're nowhere around. And even some of those who claim to be so close to you, your homeboys, your whatever street warrior buddies, like, they just disappeared, because it's like, okay, now he's gone, I can step up into that role. And you mentioned about having a light, and having, there is something inside of you, of each of us, that is uniquely ours, that the creator put inside of us, that nobody else has. And a lot of people are drawn to that. Some are drawn to it and they respect it, they honor it, they cherish it. Some are drawn to it and they despise it, they're jealous of it, and they look for opportunities to try to cut it off, but they can't. But when you're gone and you're behind that wall, they think, "Oh, okay, this is it. He's over." And I remember you saying to me one time, I was talking to you, I was kind of disturbed about some of these people not doing more, that, doing some of the things that they said they were going to do when you first went away. And then I was concerned about a couple of them approaching your little brother, trying to win him over. Um, and I remember you saying to me that a lot of them are not, you'll never hear from them again because they have written me off.
Yep.
And when you said that, my mother's heart cry, like I started to cry on the inside because I'm like, that's horrible. But it's the reality of the situation. There are a lot of people they wrote you off, um, especially with that amount of time. But they just have no idea what the Creator has planned for you. And I am again extremely proud of the work that you're doing. We're going to talk about that in future conversations. That you started an organization, you're teaching classes. I'm just very proud of what you're doing, and we're going to talk about all that later. But today, I just wanted, the mothers and all the others who are listening and will be listening to understand that you're not alone, that there are many of us who understand the pressure and the pain of having a child who is behind that prison wall. But we also don't want to forget that our children are affected as they're behind that prison wall. Um, I've always been, and I get teased about it a lot. Your brother was teasing me about it yesterday. I always have been obsessed with crime shows. I don't really know why. So I'm always looking at these shows, stuff going on in the prison, and the whole time I'm like, oh my God, I hope that's not happening to my son. And then my other son is like, well, Mom, why are you even watching that? And I'm like, just be quiet. But I just like think about some of the things that could be happening. And I know that there are a lot of things that do happen that you don't even tell me about. Um, but I just want you to know, and all the other children behind the wall, that you are loved, you're not forgotten, and I'm doing whatever little bit I can do to advocate for you. And to this conversation right here is one way that I want to do my part to get your voice heard and to spread the word that you are still human beings and you deserve to be heard and you deserve to be treated in a certain way. And so I'm trying to do my part with that.
Yeah, we need more of that. We need less people um, crying and complaining and more people doing what you're doing. We need more people supporting the work that you're doing. We need them playing their part and making it stronger.
Right.
People, you gotta love. Love is an action word. It's not some mystical word with flowers and balloons flying in the air when you say it. Love is to be shown. It's an action.
Yeah.
It's a connection. And people gotta really step their games up and get with you. All that liking the post and all that's appreciated, and I'm sure the queen appreciates it. But again, I'm speaking from behind enemy lines. I'm speaking from directly in the trenches, and we telling y'all out there that people like the work that a Mother's Cry is doing. Stop just liking the post. Really communicate. See what you can do to help and make these situations better and easier to even help your loved ones to stop coming back and forth in here and to make it through here while they're here, because there's no guarantee that everybody's going to leave here, because everybody's not.
Right.
So we got to get serious about these things and serious about the work and what you're doing. I have brothers every day calling you mother, calling you queen, telling me to tell you they love you. And we greatly appreciate what you're doing, and we salute you.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
You already know what it is with me and you. I'm front line every time.
That's right. That's
much
right.
appreciated, and keep up the good work. I'm very, very proud of you.
Thank you so much. I love you.
I love you too, Queen. I'm gonna get with you as soon as I get a chance. All right.
All righty. Power to the people.
All right. Hannibal, Hannibal,
You have 30 seconds remaining.
Hannibal Bugger signing off. All right, Mishan.
Mishani,
Family's love.
family is forever.
All right, cool.
Trey.